basketball today. Could you believe it, folks? Kevin Walsh and Coach James Young, as we are so excited to be with you on a Saturday, going through a little bit of a break for the pro basketball, the NBA. We may mix in a little W for you guys here. No NBA action, though, on this Saturday because everything is set up for the regular season finale. All of the teams will be in action, and the seeding will be determined. Some draft slots as well. I'm sure some will argue that may be a little bit more important, but what an opportunity for us here, Coach, to kind of set it up and knock it down.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is, I like how the NBA does this, Kevin, in regards to, I think the first time I really remember seeing something like this, I think is in the English Premier League, right? Where the last day of the regular season, everybody plays at the same time. You have that happening in the NBA, which I think is a good thing. It creates excitement and drama. Yes, some drama is more going to be based off of, draft positioning as regards to, other things, but there's also playoff positioning in regards to where teams fall. So this is the place to be for us to kind of get everybody almost up to speed that kind of maybe have focused on the college game for the last 2 to 3 weeks as we dive into the playoffs, Kevin, and there's still things that need to be decided tomorrow.
Yeah, there are really important things up for grabs. There could be some awards up for grabs as well. And, Coach, I think maybe that is a good starting point, at least in my opinion, where you still have a couple of guys a game away. And I got to tell you, online, I occasionally get a little confused. I'm like, what am I missing? I saw some people say, like, oh, Wemby doesn't need to play in the final game of the regular season for awards. I have Wemby at 64 games. Did I miss something? I'm not sure, right? Maybe I did, but I don't think I did. And I know Nikola Jokic is at 64 games. However, the Nuggets coach Adelman did not definitively say Jokic will play in the regular season finale. It doesn't seem to be as if maybe even Jokic would play a full set of minutes in the regular season finale. And I have to tell you, JY, I couldn't for the life of me understand why that would be true. I understand sometimes like there's a bit of a Jokic gimmick. Does he care? But, I mean, Jokic has played every single game. To have 2 left on the schedule, needing to play 1 to be eligible for All-NBA, then I can't. It's very hard to imagine Jokic doesn't play in the finale, Coach, unless this is some like sacrificial lamb. The rule is so bad, let's make a statement thing. I'm really struggling with this one.
Yeah, I really am as well. I mean, I don't know if it's, I remember last year when I think it was Mikal Bridges to keep his streak alive, like literally like started the game, committed a foul, went to the bench.
Absolutely,
there it is. So you may see some funny business in regards to just doing that. And I think, Kevin, I'm going to say this. If that happens, watch us get into the integrity of the rule kind of thing. Now, do you have to play a certain amount of minutes? Are you going to count that game? Do you just if you do it, do you just say, stick Jokic in the corner and just say, don't get hurt? Just stand right there. You're going to play the first 12 minutes of the game, and then we put you to the bench. So that's the whole big thing about this awards, where the NBA is trying to encourage integrity in regards to players participating. But now we get to the end of the season, and guys need 1 game to qualify. And you are right. I just double-checked. Unless NBA.com is wrong, I just looked, Kevin. Wemby's at 64 games. So unless we miss something, he's got to play tomorrow as well.
No, but Joey, I am glad. Like, I got to say, there are multiple, like, real NBA people who seem to keep being like, yeah, like, Wemby played against the Mavs on Friday in order to get to his 65th game. Like, I don't get it. I really do not understand why people keep saying that. Like, Hey, listen, Coach and I are incredibly honest with you always, right? And I'm not scared to say, hey, maybe there's something I don't know, but I don't think that's the case right now. And, somewhat, and I hate to say this, but I wonder if the league is going to back into Jokic versus Wemby on that Sunday because the rules require those two to be out there. But let's actually attack that game from a different so I'm glad we're starting here, Coach, because, and maybe we'll get into the rule itself and different things in a second, but in my opinion, you have one of the biggest regular season games in recent memory setting up for Sunday, because the three best teams in the West are the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Nuggets. And we know OKC is the 1, and we know San Antonio is the 2. We don't know if Denver will be the 3. Despite an 11-game win streak, if they did lose to San Antonio on Sunday, all the Lakers would need to do is beat the Jazz. Hey, now, okay. Yeah, right. Okay. And Denver falls to the 4. Now, if you're Denver, would you rather be the 3 playing Minnesota, a somewhat injured ball club, and avoid Oklahoma City in round 2, playing a young San Antonio team? I think you would. If you're San Antonio, though, JY, would you rather beat Denver, send them down to the 4 line, and get yourself in round 2 the winner of Lakers, Minnesota, instead of Jokic and the Nuggets? I think even more so than Denver.
It's amazing, Kevin, because this is going to be like conspiracy at its finest in this hour, because the one thing about Kevin and I are big on, and you guys heard me say this all the time for the last 4 years being on this network, that styles make fights, right? Styles make fights. And if I'm looking at the situation, I want to, first, more than anything, I want to avoid Oklahoma City at all costs, right? So if I'm looking at, lining up the Western Conference, who scares me if you look at that whole situation of the Lakers, Denver, Spurs in that 2, 3, 4 area, right? If I could find a way, let's be honest, to avoid any kind of matchup that deals with the Rockets in round 1 and then obviously the Thunder in round 2, I'm going to do that. But Kevin, it gets deeper than that. If you peel back and you go to the fact that it could be Clippers, Warriors in 9-10, the winner of that could be the 8. I don't want to play the Clippers as an 8 seed. I don't want to get, possibly Steph in the playoffs. I don't want that. So to me, the jockeying for position of getting to that 2-3 line becomes ultra important, because number one, you're dealing with a Minnesota team that has got injuries. You have a Spurs team that, let's be honest, they've been great. They haven't been there yet. I'd rather go that pathway than possibly see Clippers, Rockets, Thunder in that order.
I have to say, and we're having the team look into it a little bit. I've an outside helper, thank you very much, who's trying to help me a little bit with the Wembanyama thing, who alerted me that on the ESPN Spurs Mavericks recap, it's yeah, Wemby played his 65th game to become eligible for it's from the AP, and but Basketball Reference 64 games, ESPN 64 games. So I got to tell you, if Wemby misses out on eligibility because everybody told him he met the minimum and then didn't meet the minimum, I think my head is going to explode. We're going to take a quick break here on Pro Basketball Today. So much to get into with the awards, the standings, and everything in between next on SportsGrid. Okay, back with you guys right here on Pro Basketball Today. So much for us to get into, really, across the association. I want to stick here for just another second on the notion of San Antonio and Denver and the Western Conference movement. It's a little bit cleaner to dissect because so much of the West is set right now. As you see the 1 through 10, we know the Warriors are the 10. We know Oklahoma City is the 1, right? What we're really waiting to find out is if the Nuggets or Lakers will be the 3 and then who will be the 4. And I and Coach both agree that it would be San Antonio and Denver's best interest. It would be in the Spurs' best interest to knock Denver down. It would be in Denver's best interest to stay up. I want to ask you about the Lakers, though, Coach. No Luka, no Reeves, maybe all of round 1. Who knows? I mean, like maybe Luka's overseas trying to figure some things out with the hamstring, but I'm certainly working under the assumption of, no round 1 for either one of those guys. Do you think the Lakers, not that you'd pick them in either series, do you think the Lakers would have a better chance to upset Houston or Minnesota with LeBron out there kind of in do-it-all mode?
I would take my matchup and I would go against Minnesota because of the health of Anthony Edwards, and then the fact of you being in New York, even though he was good last year, you don't know what you're going to get in Julius Randle in the playoffs. And that team has just been, as much as I feel like, Kevin, they could put it together and go on a run and get to the Western Conference Finals, Kevin, they could turn around and flame out in the playoffs. And now we're talking about, Finch maybe losing his job and then kind of starting over. So I think that's the way that you need to be. And listen, at the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you like 2, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up. And DeAndre Ayton's got to do something here where he at some points got to play like the guy that we thought he was supposed to be coming into the league. So it would put a lot on LeBron's plate. Everybody else has to play well, Kevin. But I think he can give you 1 to 2 LeBron historic games, I think, in a 7-game series. And I think the better pathway for him would be going through Minnesota, because I also think that the defense of Houston, being able to put different bodies, Jabari a little bit taller, a man a little bit more physical, I think that's going to be a little bit too much for him to deal with. Better to go through the path of Minnesota with the injuries and the inconsistent play of that team.
I just want a quick side note. I figured out the Wemby thing. We'll do it in the next segment. All right. I don't want to disrupt, but I figured it out, Coach. So we're not crazy. No one's crazy. Okay. As far as this Laker team goes, I think the Anthony Edwards health is such a tilting thing from a series perspective that I find it intriguing, right? Because what I think, certainly from what you just said, even if Anthony Edwards plays in game 1, there's no guarantee he's playing in game 4, right? And even if Anthony Edwards, let's say the series went 6 games, I don't think there's any guarantee that Ant would be healthy enough to be the best player in the series. I want to be very clear because I understand who I am as the messenger in this moment, okay? At this point in their careers, healthy Anthony Edwards is better than LeBron. In this series, though, LeBron will put up better numbers if they were to meet. He just will, okay? Because LeBron still has enough gas in that tank to, you need me to do it on my own? Here's 30, 10, and 7. I mean, it's just what he's doing. It's just what he's doing right now. The Houston matchup fascinates me, though, Coach, because we've talked about Houston in a negative light for a while. And despite a really impressive win streak that they did just recently have snapped by Minnesota, there are fundamental things with this basketball team that I don't trust. And one of them that I'm surprised I don't trust is Ime Udoka's coaching acumen. I don't know if Ime has just lost such control over this team's emotions and then his emotions, or if Ime is simply just a floor guy and has a really hard ceiling. I'm not sure, Coach, but I have felt that Ime Udoka has been awful this season for Houston, and we know it. Last year, JJ Redick was outcoached by Chris Finch. JJ's learned it'd be an interesting matchup. I think JJ Redick at this point in his career is actually a better coach than Ime Udoka. And the Lakers are looking for advantages because they're so short-handed that having a coaching edge could be enough to give the Lakers life beyond the fact that LeBron has to be otherworldly brilliant against whomever Los Angeles were to play here in round number 1.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at Houston, I'm going to go somewhere where I think people are going to be like, it's an interesting take. I don't think they have been particularly good for a while, because of injuries. And I think Steven Adams' injury, I think, hurts them a lot more than people think. And I want people to understand why. Steven Adams is someone that doesn't really wow you, right, Kevin? But he takes up space. He's a tough guy, and he allows guys to slide over to different positions where I think they're more effective. Where can the Lakers get Houston in the series if they were to match up? I mentioned the name. It's DeAndre Ayton. Mm-hmm. Listen, as much as I love Alperen Şengün, he does not do it for me defensively. We all know, right? Clay Capella's not going to play huge minutes. So to me, that's where you look at the pivot. Because I think someone like Steven Adams comes really valuable, Kevin, especially come playoffs.
We're going to run up against a quick break here. We're going to come on back. And we're going to talk a little bit about your league MVP award. Wemby is eligible. Wemby is eligible. We'll explain that as well after the break here on SportsGrid.
Not all these kids, but the majority of these kids in the top 10 have had things handed to them since they're in 3rd grade because they're special athletically. And the fact that they get humbled a little bit, I'm here for the humbling. I've been humbled. I like when other people get humbled.
But you were humbled later. Yeah. You weren't humbled at 22 in front of the world.
No.
You were a grown-ass man.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
I got to tell you, Kansas basketball the last 3 months, if I was the number 1 player in the country, I'd cross them off my list. Bill Self did not do Darren Peterson any favors. And now Badunga's going to stay in college but leave Lawrence? I'm red flags, in my opinion, Gabe, around the Jayhawks.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Miami today laying 17.5. Miami wins, get a load of this, 152. When you hear 152, I don't care if you're laying 100. You're thinking you're winning that bet, right? They win 152 to 136. They only win by 16. Washington get the backdoor cover.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You're going to invest. Find somebody else in the market right now, like J.J. Weatherholt or someone else, because this is the worst time, I think, to buy a guy like Griffin.
You can bring up Polymarket right now. Go to the NL Rookie of the Year page. It is a roller coaster of everybody changing from favorite to not favorite to favorite to not favorite. Look at that. It's like a earthquake happening, Craig, and the Richter scale is going nuts.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, Pro Basketball Today. We're right back here on SportsGrid. Look, I'm not going to hold the information from anybody out there who is also trying to figure out this Wemby thing. I just didn't want to interrupt our Laker convo. Very simply put, Wemby's played 64 regular games. He played in the NBA Cup Final, which counts towards your minimum. Now, I got to tell you, again, this stupid, awful rule that is on its dying legs, they better scream that from the rooftops, because I would not be surprised if a few voters see Wemby eligible on ballots, but think, he played 64. I'm not going to put him in. Like, don't be surprised if Wemby gets left off a couple of ballots. Just don't be surprised if that happens, because of just the league and the communication of it all, and how bad this whole thing really has been. And the thing is, you've got the Luka situation. He's applying for a hardship. We'll see what happens, right? Cade Cunningham, by the way, who came back from injury, I think, a little bit earlier than expected, is, if he plays in the season finale, going to finish at 64 as well. So, look, I've said my piece on this rule. And I said it before. The second they came out with it, I knew it was bad. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But we have what people believe are 3 MVP candidates in SGA, Wemby, and Jokic. But we really only have one if you listen to the odds, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at minus 7,000. 50-1 on Jokic, 50-1 on Wemby. And, Coach, I don't know if you think someone other than Shai should win the award, but I think the odds are, I don't know if I would have it at minus 7,000, but I completely expect SGA to win league MVP when the votes are all tallied up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that is what I was thinking, because obviously the way that they've played down the stretch of the season is why I would think that. Where I kind of was saying to myself, like, was there a pathway possibly for me for Wemby, right? Stephon Castle only plays in 67 games, right? They've had injuries kind of sort of during the year. 71 games De'Aaron Fox, 66 Devin Vassell, 68 Dylan Harper. They kind of navigated their way through it. And the way that Wemby, in my opinion, had dominated in his matchups versus Oklahoma City, and the way he is on both ends of the floor, kind of said to me like, well, maybe we should just give it to Wemby. But then I started thinking about it, well, then we can just give Wemby Defensive Player of the Year award, and we can go that route and then still give SGA the award. So I found this to be really fascinating. I thought the numbers should be shorter, but by the way he's played, by the way the team has played, and the amount of injuries, especially J-Dub missing the amount of time he has, it does make sense for SGA to win the MVP.
Yeah, I think what's interesting right now is one of the things that helped Shai, in my opinion, win it is his most threatening challengers for March until now were Wemby and Luka instead of Nikola Jokic. Because if you look at Luka, and again, we're not sure if Luka's even going to finish eligible, right? But Luka, brilliant season, 33.5 points a game with 8 rebounds and 8 assists. But Luka had a bit of an up and down season despite all those points, right? I actually think people only talk about the defensive side of the ball with Luka in terms of struggles. I thought there were moments where Luka offensively was putting up numbers due to usage more so than greatness. I thought there was a stretch of time where that was true for the Lakers. Luka turned a corner, don't get me wrong, but I didn't think Luka was ever a real threat to win the award. And Wemby, while he is, barring health, a future multi-time league MVP, swooping in for a year 3 league MVP and DPOY in the same season when he's played less than 30 minutes a night, it just didn't feel very likely to me. I think the only person who could have knocked Shea off the perch was Jokic, but that's just not the debate we've been having for a month and a half. Instead, Jokic is going to lead the league in rebounds, assists, top 10 in points a game, outrageous efficiency, and he's going to finish third, fourth on some ballots here just due to the conversation that we've seen. And I think it sets up pretty nicely for Shea as the number 1 overall seed in the NBA, again, to win this award. It's not the only award, though, where there are some debates. Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, an interesting one. We'll get into it right here on Pro Basketball Today. All right, guys, back with you right here. It is Pro Basketball Today on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh and Coach James Young. And, one of the tight races is, and maybe the tightest race, is Rookie of the Year. A couple of Duke teammates who, did they expect to be in this situation? I'm not so sure. And man, it is it's a really interesting one, right? Coach, when we take a look at the arguments for Cooper Flagg and for Con Knipple, they're not, it's not the same, right? And I think a lot of the Cooper case is people basically being like, he's better at basketball, and I'm going to vote for the better player. Because in 3 years from now, with respect to Con Knipple, we don't expect Cooper and Con to be the debate we're having. I think people would more so expect Cooper and Wemby to be the debate we're having here. So, there's an element of winning that comes into play, I think, for people with the fact that the Hornets have turned their season around. The Mavs are not good. Certainly had an incredible surge. Coop put a 50 ball up there. So where are you at right now, Coach, on this Rookie of the Year race that is still not over?
It's interesting because I thought it was Cooper Flagg the whole time. And then Knipple, I think Knipple needs to get credit, Kev, for the absolute renaissance and resurgence of a Charlotte Hornets team that I thought was going to be better than expected. But I'll be honest with you, I did not expect this. But you kind of start to look at, to me, I'm like, okay, well, how did they look, down the stretch of the season, right? If you look at the last 15 games, 20.1 points per game for Cooper Flagg, 47% from the floor. It looks like 80% from the foul line, 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, right? So he's had a really good run as of late. But so is Knippel. So I think that is where it's like you're splitting hairs, and you have to make the determination of how much do you take back in regards to how well Cooper's playing or scoring based off of who is not there for Dallas. That's how you have to decide it, because you can't go, apples to apples in regards to, how much they're playing and so on and so forth. So I think the interesting thing for me is I think Cooper Flagg had a long enough lead in the beginning of the year that Kahn kind of closed it strong. But to me, regardless, the 51-45 last week kind of was just like, all right, shut the door, close. And that's why the odds have shrunk down to where it is. But to me, I think rookie of the year is Cooper Flagg.
So I certainly respect that opinion, because I think Cooper's case is Cooper was clearly the best player coming into the draft. I think at the end of the rookie season, there isn't a single person who would tell you that anyone other than Cooper Flagg is the best player in this class, right? If we did a redraft, Coach, Cooper goes 1. I don't even know if Kahn goes 2, okay? However, I looked through the numbers, and I don't think Rookie of the Year is, and not that you said this, but like, I don't think Rookie of the Year is a projection award, right? And Kahn has just been better this year. He just has. I understand he's not scoring as much. Kahn Knippel just had a rookie season from beyond the arc that may never be flirted with again. Kahn Knippel has a 3-made 3 lead on his teammate in LaMelo Ball to lead the NBA in made threes in his rookie season. Kahn Knippel, in my opinion, has set himself up to go down as one of the 5 greatest shooters in the history of basketball. I think he has a chance to go down as high as the second best shooter the league has ever seen. I think he showed that in one season, Kahn Knippel. So he's not some scrub, or hey, I got hot for a little bit. Did anybody have Kahn Knippel averaging 18.5 a game on their bingo card, rookie NBA? I didn't. The connective tissue that Kahn Knippel has brought to this Charlotte team has been a huge part of their resurgence. With Kahn Knippel on the floor, the Hornets are better. With Cooper on the floor versus off, it's about the same. It's been a tough year in Dallas. Cooper's going to be okay. But it's just, to me, Kahn Knippel has been better this year over the course of the season. And I got to tell you, I think one of the edges, JY, and this is again where the 65-game rule has absolutely helped no one, right? Because Cooper has played 65. Kahn Knippel right now has played 11 more basketball games than Cooper Flagg. That's a lot of basketball, Coach, in my opinion. Like, if we have 2 guys side by side and you give me 10, 11, 12 more games, I think that's relevant, at least for me, when it comes to the Kahn Knippel Cooper Flagg race.
I think if you want to give Kahn Knippel, and I just tried to pull it side by side myself, and scoring Cooper by 2, rebounds, I think it's Cooper by 1, assists Cooper by 1, field goal percentage Cooper by 1. If Kahn wins it, Kevin made the point. It's a 3-point shot. It's 43% versus 29%. Folks, that's massive. That's massive in regards to the difference there. So if you want to find an angle of where Con can get him in regards to say every stat is close, 3-point shooting percentage is not close. And I would dare to say, not even looking, Con had far more attempts than Cooper. So that's where it gets interesting. Attempts and makes and percentage could be enough that stat can say that's the clear winner of everything else, because everything else, Kevin, along with wins, it's way better. Everything else, the stats are literally, Kevin, 1 to 2 points away between the two guys.
Yeah, this award, though, is tough to tell where it's going to go, because at this point in the year, when the odds look like this, you can tell it's really tough. And it's a similar situation right now with Coach of the Year, with JB Bickerstaff under -200 to win the award, Joe Mazzulla sitting around +160. And yet I find myself, I feel, in a similar situation as last year, where last year was, I think it was Atkinson in a runaway. And there was some love in the market for Detroit, right? So that would have been JB. I think there was some Dagnall love. I don't know if we both said we would have given it to him, but I know you felt that he was worthy last year, Ime Udoka, right? And that 50-win season he ripped off for Houston. So I'll make my case quickly before break, and I'm going to get Coach's thoughts on the other side. And I've not, completely locked this in yet. I like to do a ballot. I'm sure a lot of you do at home. I don't entirely understand why Mitch Johnson is not getting more love. The Detroit Pistons going from 44 wins to, 59 or 60 wins is absolutely impressive. The Spurs won 34 games last year. And for the it's Wemby. We just sat here and talked about the fact that Wemby is like sneaking over the minimum. I believe they sit right now 12-5 without Wemby on the year. Wemby only plays 30 minutes a game. Wemby's come off the bench for like 10 games this year because he wasn't a healthy guy. There was a lot of pressure to figure out that Fox, Castle, Harper connection. They figured it out. They're not a defense only. The offense is great as well. And yet he almost caught the Thunder for the 1 seed. Get Coach's thoughts after the break.
The fact that we are seeing now multiple states propose, not just prop bet bans, but getting rid of online sports betting altogether really shows kind of the pushback that the industry is facing right now, and kind of the crisis it has to make sure in the public spotlight that it's being viewed accurately, and that it's working with lawmakers on, common sense proposals.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quickly learning that even though the Jays, Brady went to the World Series last year, they're not like one of those automatic teams. Like I consider the Yankees automatic, Dodgers automatic. That really might be it. Maybe not even the Mets. Just like think teams you can kind of count on. They're not going to lose to Colorado. They're not going to lose to the White Sox. Those type of teams.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Scottie Scheffler, the best golfer in the world. How many majors will he win this year? And if he does get 4, Joe, that's currently trading at 3 cents. So a $100 investment actually only pays back $333 at this point, which is kind of insane when you ask him to win all 4. Joe, I told you already, sticking to my guns. $100 investment on no majors. None over the next 4 this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
You build teams in the second, third, and fourth round, right, Donnie? Yeah. That's where you build. That's where you get the depth. That's where you build the team. So teams looking for draft capital very much could be alive and well in this draft coming up, because there's just nobody to mortgage the future for, because you need your franchise guy. They're just not in this draft.
The early line. only on SportsGrid.
Okay, back at the right here on Pro Basketball Today. Great to have everybody on a Saturday talking a little NBA. Really excited for the start of the postseason. I think it should deliver. I really do. Man, we're gonna get more into that Spurs Nuggets game. We will, I promise. We'll talk about some of the Eastern Conference standings as well. But I think it's fun to talk through these awards here. Coach, give me an idea. Coach of the Year race. You know, a couple legit candidates right now. We have odds on 5 guys. JB Bickerstaff, Joe Mazzulla, Mitch Johnson, we've mentioned. Charles Lee for Charlotte. Quinn Snyder getting some deep love for Atlanta. One of those 5 guys, an outside 6th or 7th guy, you tell me.
I've liked what Mitch Johnson has done for the entire season for San Antonio, a team that we thought was going to ascend, but no one had them getting to where they are, where they have the second best record in the NBA, and navigating it through arguably one of the youngest rosters in the league. Like you're talking about, dealing with the injuries, the Wemby missing time and working his way back, trying to figure out the Devin Vassell, Fox, Dylan Harper combination. Someone like Keldon Johnson, who's been a big piece, bringing him off the bench, right? Navigating, getting Luke Cornett in. And really making it to the NBA Cup Finals. I think Mitch Johnson's job has been taken for granted, in my opinion. And I think he should have a way shorter odd than anyone else. Now, in the name of Pat Foster, you people are going to think I'm crazy. I think the favorite should be Mazzulla. I mean, if you peel back, I want everyone to close their eyes and say this: Jason Tatum misses almost the entire season because of Achilles tear, right? Drew Holloway traded for, obviously, Anthony Simons, who got turned around and flipped. Kristaps Porzingis traded for a bag of basketballs. No Al Horford and no Luke Cornett, and you got the second best record in the Eastern Conference, and some people think you should be the favorites to come out of the East. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought going into the season when all Boston had lost, they were, to me, I was thinking like around a 7 seed. I really was, because I thought New York, I thought Cleveland, I thought Detroit, I thought Orlando was going to be better, much better. That's at least 4 teams, right? I thought Philadelphia was going to have a comeback season, 5. So I had them in that. I'm not going to say the number before 7 because my kids will make fun of me because every time I do it. Yeah. But you get where I'm going, where they probably I thought were going to be. So they are the 2 seed playing this good of basketball with all these guys they missed. Respectfully, I think the favorite should be Joe Mazzulla to be Coach of the Year.
Look, he obviously has a case. I think Mazzulla has shown that he can present a very high regular season floor. I think Jaylen Brown. So here's a funny thing, and I wonder if he would find this insulting. He probably would. I actually think that Jaylen Brown has like a most improved case, quite frankly. Again, I know that that's not really how that works, but I feel that. I don't know, the Mazzulla thing, I somewhat think some of the low expectations for Boston were listening to what we were told a little bit. Like, I think there's some, like, Jaylen Brown likes to tweet out, like, reset year, reset year, reset year. And I understand why he took that as motivation. But I also think Jaylen Brown is smart enough to know that a lot of times he can look for motivation within that organization because they've considered trading him for half of his career. And I think some of the reset stuff was what that organization was discussing. And they obviously pushed through that, right? But they were also able to push through that, I thought, with, look, good development that is a Celtic staple long before Mazzulla got there. I don't mean to take everything away from Mazzulla. I think he's easily on ballots, 100%, right? But, man, I don't know. I've seen worse Boston rosters contend for the 1 seed. coached by Brad Stevens. I've seen that. So that's why it just didn't, land the same for me. But JY, you did mention something that I wanted to bring up. So let's talk about it a little bit here. The idea that Boston is, not just a favorite in the Eastern Conference, but, there's a real gap. They are half the number of the next closest team. In Cleveland, the 1 seed Pistons have the 4th best price right now on most books, with the Knicks, Cleveland, and Boston in front of them. Do you right now, how do you tier Eastern Conference contenders right now?
I think the tiers are, in my opinion, the Knicks and Boston, with Boston being ahead of the Knicks. I have serious concerns still with New York in regards to, honestly, Kevin, I'm gonna be honest with you. Coaching is where it comes down to. Well, who's made it to a finals? In the last couple of years, right? Mike Brown's got questions about whether he can get it done. Cleveland has always been, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, they haven't done it in the playoffs. JB Bickerstaff turns into a pumpkin when the playoffs start, right? So Missoula, by the graces of what he has done and how they've overachieved, they make the most sense. There is polarizing players all over the place in regards to what happens, and this team can make a run to get to the NBA Finals from Eastern Conference. There is no player in the Eastern Conference with more pressure than Karl Anthony Towns, because he will be the scapegoat and he will be shipped gone if they can try and get Giannis if they don't win. But he is going to be the greatest big since Patrick Ewing if they get to the finals. Can Cat, who spends more time bitching the referees than playing defense sometimes, can he channel it and be that player? It's a lot of pressure to put on Mike Brown, but it really falls on Cat, because if the Knicks don't make it to the finals, I don't think they get rid of Brown unless they lose their first round matchup. It looks at Cat as being the scapegoat and the one that could be jettisoned out of New York if they don't make it.
It's probably not the time. You know what? I'll just do it, and then we'll be. I'm not sure the Knicks should be all that interested in the Giannis business anymore, because I think Giannis has put on a tour de force of making himself an unattractive option for potential suitors this season. We'll be right back. Pro Basketball Today. All right, guys, pro basketball today. We're going to button it up here. There's a couple of different things I want to get to. I will say, and this will come as no surprise with, it's myself and Coach here, pro basketball today. We will cover the W some. And Monday, you do have the WNBA draft. And, man, it is a conversation that requires a lot of time probably to have. But I've said this before. I think that Coach and I have built up a rapport with this audience to trust the conversations we have about this sport. I understand why people are very protective of WNBA coverage. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. Coach, I think I trust us to have these conversations. The Dallas Wings have the first overall pick on Monday. Every mock draft I read says our fam from Spain goes first overall. I read one mock draft that said Olivia Miles, the guard from TCU, first overall. Yet I see one sports book with AZ Fudd as a minus money favorite to be the first pick on Monday night. And the relationship between Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd is well known. We're not dealing in some online rumors here. We know that they are in a relationship. We know Paige is the superstar of Dallas. And I do not think that Paige would hold Dallas's feet to the fire and say, you must draft AZ, because I think there are a lot of questions, Coach, about do they want that? Is that absolutely best for a relationship? And again, that's where you start to, the water gets a little bit muddy, but from respected places, and you're included in this, I haven't found a lot of people that think AZ Fudd is the best player in this class. And I'm finding even less people who think AZ Fudd makes the most sense as the first overall pick in this class.
If you really pull back on it, folks, you could say that AZ Fudd is maybe the fourth best player in the class behind Fam Fudd and Lauren Betts. Let's be completely transparent and honest. So I'm going to peel back and tell you what I had told our producer, Pat Foster, and Kevin Walsh. We had a great discussion last week off air about this whole thing a week ago. And I made the compelling case of Olivia Miles going number one. Because in a 2-point guard system and knowing the TCU offense, they run a WNBA style offense that I think would be perfect for Paige off the ball. But then Enrique resigned. And then that made me start pulling everything back and say, timeout. AZ Fudd can't go to Dallas because you already have Enrique and Paige, and you can't play Enrique, Paige, and AZ together. So then I'm like, maybe you go to Miles. And then I'm like, no. It's our fam. And talking to people, this is, I know Kevin and I were big on Malanga. This could be a better version of Malanga. 6'5", shoot the three, dynamic post, athletic, going to be a rim protector from day one. You give me a lineup of Paige and obviously Enrique together. They just signed, I do believe, Jessica Shepard from Minnesota. And you put our fam in that lineup. Now you're cooking with grease here. To me, I think the play should be our fam at the number one pick. It makes the most sense based on Enrique coming back. If Enrique did not come back, then you can make that case for Fudd, or in my case, I would go for Olivia Miles.
It's going to be very interesting to follow here. And, look, it's a draft, right? We can bet on a draft. I am very curious, and this will happen when we get to Monday. They'll post picks for second, our odds for second, third, maybe fourth, right? It's not going to, it doesn't run NFL draft level deep, NBA draft level deep, of course. But it's a one-of-one spot. It is probably the only time you will ever see this in your life. The situation that appears to be on hand right now. And I'll add this quickly. I hate for AZ Fudd to be in a Bronny James esque spot where all of the accomplishments and hard work are now being chalked up to a relationship. Different, right? Round 2 talent, top 5 talent, different, but it is a a spot now all of a sudden where some of the merit of FUD is taking a hit in a way that you hate to see. We will follow it. We will follow the NBA playoffs. We will follow everything here on SportsGrid the way we always do. That is Coach James Young. I am Kevin Walsh, and we shall see you next time right back here on the grid.
Process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged and Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.